So it's really nice to welcome all of you here today. This is a part of IPI's media innovation and sustainability work. I'm Ryan Powell. I'm the head of our media innovation department at the International Press Institute. The International Press Institute is a global network fighting and defending press freedom and supporting independent journalism around the world. Our media and innovation and sustainability team is here to support skills development for media managing the digital disruption. It offers thought leadership, strategic guidance in response to addressing the rapid changes in the industry, while also providing coaching, funding, and in particular access to an interactive and expanding community that really enhances the space for independent media around the world. Our ultimate goal is, of course, to ensure that independent media can effectively carry out its democratic function. And a really important part of this are our newsroom visits, which we have today. Newsroom visits are really create space for local news media to tell their story to an audience of media builders from around the world. And it really brings you an inside look into how your peer media around the globe are managed, how they grow, the technology they use. We were just talking about the graphic design and brand identity. How do you navigate crisis, challenges, and much, much more. Today, we're really privileged to invite a team from El Salvador, and I'll let them introduce themselves in a minute. But I just wanted to quickly make a note of housekeeping. So the Alharaca team, they will present for 40 minutes. And then after that 40 minutes, I will host a question and answer session related to any of the points they brought up. This presentation will be recorded, and if you have questions, you can either ask in the box or raise your hand in the system. And without further ado, I'll hand it to my colleague Teona, who will introduce the team and then take it from there. Thank you for all being here.
Hi, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce Alharaca and Alharaca's team. Alharaca is the independent El Salvador-based publication that focuses on feminism, equality, and social justice since its foundation in 2018. Since then, they have, reclaiming the term Alharaca, which means being over-emotional and is directed often towards women. And they have experimented with various news formats and storytelling techniques and try to find pathway to financial viability and sustainability. We believe that they have can share a lot of valuable insights into their operations within a media landscape where independent journalists are under risk. They always face increasing pressure from the government officials, and we are confident that you can learn a lot also from their business model. Today we have over 10 members of the team, and some of them will be presenting and contributing, and some of them will also be contributing during the Q&A session. And it is my pleasure to introduce Laura Aguirre, who is CEO of Alharaca. Laura, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Teona. I'm really, really glad to be here. As Teona said, I am Laura Aguirre. I'm from El Salvador and the current executive director of Alharaca. And I think we can present all the team first, and then we will proceed with the presentation. So I pass the word to my colleagues.
I'll go next. I'm Jimena Aguilar. I am the creative director of Alharaca and one of the co-founders as well.
I can go next. I'm also one of the co-founders, and I'm the web editor and work as a reporter as well.
Maybe just a caveat, just to let them know that some of the team will be speaking in Spanish sometimes. So just so you know that some people will present themselves in Spanish.
Hola, mi nombre es Metzi Rosales Martel y soy directora editorial en Alharaca. Buenos días.
Hi, my name is Carla Chicas, and I am the social media manager.
Hello, can you hear me? Oh, okay, yeah. I'm Andrea Burgos, and I am the multimedia coordinator.
Hi, my name is Beatriz, and I am one of the illustrators from Alharaca.
Hi, my name is Anita Giver, and I'm the community manager.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Monica. I am a journalist, and my role in Alharaca is editorial production manager.
Hi, I'm Lisa Ortiz, and I'm the video editor.
Hi everyone, I am Angelica Ramirez and I am a reporter for Alharaca.
Hi, my name is Alejandro, and I'm a designer graphic and an illustrator.
Hi, my name is Kelly Portillo. I am a photojournalist de Alharaca.
Hola, mi nombre es Vilma Laínez y soy periodista de Alharaca.
Hola, mi nombre es Nelly Villoso y soy asistente administrativa en Alharaca.
Thanks, everybody. So I will start. And well, in this session, we want to share with you who we are, what we do, and what are the objectives that we are trying to achieve in this journey that we started 6 years ago. Well, as Teona said, Alharaca was founded in the early 2018 by 4 Salvadorian women. 3 of us are based in Berlin, and the rest of the team, we are all from El Salvador. Well, a country, as many, where the majority of power positions within the media are still held by men, and where the issues affecting women and LGBTQ people are always or still underrepresented in the media agenda. No? And because of that, this lead us to create Alharaca. And as I always say that we founded Alharaca because we have a big necessity, a necessity to have our own space, to create and to engage in journalism from a gender, feminist, and intersectional perspective. And at the same time, we need a space to innovate in narratives about women and LGBTQ people. So, well, I want to share the presentation and tell a little more about our name. Hime, can you help me, please? Can we go to the next slide? Yes. Well, Teona mentioned that, but I want one more to explain this, that our name is inspired by a word often used in Spanish to dismiss women, mostly women, as overly emotional or exaggerated about something that supposedly is unimportant. So we reclaim this word as a provocation and we give it a new meaning, a meaning that allows us to create a space for our stories, but for a space for the stories of people that are underrepresented or marginalized in the agendas of media and in journalism. As you can see, we are a team of 16 people from different disciplines, identities, and ages. 10 of us live in El Salvador, while 6 are based in different countries, including Germany, Spain, and Costa Rica. From the beginning, Alharaca have worked in a hybrid way. We make very extensive Zoom meetings and mobile chats, and the whole team has met physically only once. So Alharaca truly is a daughter of digitalization, and even that, I think we have made it work. After 6 years, we have a sustainable model that is a combination between grants, that's our the majority of our incomes, but we have our another source of incomes through a company that we lead. It's a company in which we sell communication services for clients that most of the time are international organizations who wants or have the necessity to produce content or produce a communication campaign, always about gender and diversity issues. And well, even when these other part of the incomes are still the minority of our money, we are trying to develop a more strong model of sustainability in this way. So I will pass the word to my colleague, Jimena.
We, throughout this period of time, we have spent some time like figuring out how to, what we are and what our mission and our vision is. And last year we had this encounter that was really nice. As Laura mentioned, it was the first time that we all got together in one place and discuss our values, our principles, talk about the history of the organization. And there is the time where we created this, or collectively created this mission and this vision. So we are a feminist media committed to building a more just and equitable society through the creation of innovative narratives that collaboratively contribute to the promotion of democracy, inclusion, and the respect for human rights. And our vision for the future of Alharaca is to be a reference for feminist and innovative journalism in Latin America as a region with a collective, inclusive, and safe and self-empowering work culture. So the way we work is not only about the subjects that we cover as journalists and as media organization, but also how we are structured and how we aim at providing a safe environment for journalists to work in, especially women and people of different minorities or the LGBTQ community. And as you see, like this is also reflected in the topics that we cover and our kind of like our editorial guidelines. So we have determined a few subjects that are our key subjects that we cover. One of them is gender and diversity. Another is feminist economy. From the get-go, we were working with feminist economists from El Salvador. One of our first video projects was some interviews that we did to feminist economists in the middle of the pandemic. And one of our first projects was to research how the pandemic was affecting economically and socially to women in particular, because of a lot of the work that was happening was not the paid work that is usually talked about in mainstream economic discourses, but it was about care work, about unpaid labor in homes, and a lot of this was particularly heightened during the pandemic. We're also, of course, talking a lot about human rights. And El Salvador, if you are maybe not aware of El Salvador or its political context right now, The country has been in what's called a state of emergency since March of 2022, which means that the government has made it so that some constitutional rights right now are not being held, because the government in this state of emergency can just overrun them. So a lot of people have been incarcerated without the traditional or the legal procedures that normally happen for this. For example, not being able to see a lawyer or not being brought to a judge within 72 hours. So some people are just being taken to prison in an effort from the government to solve the gang problems that El Salvador had for the last 20 years. And in this period of time, around 73,000 people have been in prison. And from the records that social organizations have been publishing, 201 people have died at the hands of the state, where there's no transparency of how they died, who was responsible for their death, and a lot of these deaths have signs of torture or foul play. Additionally, El Salvador's president right now is aiming at the re-election, which in El Salvador is unconstitutional, but the government has basically gotten power in all three branches of government. So right now there's no resistance in terms of the checks and balances of a traditional government. So most likely what is going to happen is that the president is going to re-elect himself, even though it's not possible technically or constitutionally. And that's the context that we're working in. So it's not an easy context. And I think, well, my colleagues will be able to dive a little bit deeper into how we, within these frameworks of our mission, our vision, and our editorial guidelines, are trying to cover this as journalists. Wait, sorry. I'm in the wrong computer, sorry. And this is our team. Well, some of you are here. There's some people who are no longer part of the team, but are still collaborators of the team. And some of the newest members of the team are not in this photograph, which we took at the encounter in March. And just to give you an idea of how we're structured, there is a newsroom, or what we call Equipa Editorial, which is composed of the journalists. And then there is a multimedia team, which is composed of the designers and the video editor. There's an audience team where the community manager is. And there's, of course, the important part of the administrative part of Alharaca. And there's the leadership, where we work as a coordinator table. So a lot of the decisions that we make, we make it as a collaborative, or in a collaborative manner, and also as a round table in a way. So in that we have like Metzi, the editorial director, the social media manager, the multimedia coordinator, web editor, and the directors, and all the co-founders, which some of the titles are the same. And yeah, just to give you an overview of our successes in the last few years, we've been nominated. Well, we won an award. Vilma, Lainez, and Kelly Portillo won an award just now from the National Association of Journalists in El Salvador, APES, and we've been nominated to the Gabriel Garcia Marquez prize for audio, and we've been invited and been part of different festivals and forums in the past few years, and the IDEA Award was the first award that we won, and which was the seed money for Alharaca. And now I think I give the mic to Andrea.
Hello, hi everyone. Well, I'm very happy to present you our multimedia department. Hime already gave you the names of the persons who collaborate in this team. But I would like to mention how our commitment to visual storytelling sets us apart from other regional newsrooms. We are small, but very diverse in our multimedia team, and our work incorporates video, illustrations, comics, graphics, and interactives to craft compelling narratives. And we really pride ourselves in producing content that not only informs, but kind of challenges the existing norms in traditional journalism. And one of the historic series that we have, because Alharaca has been visual since its origins, really, but one of the historic series that we have is this one, La Economía es en femenino, the economy is in feminine in Spanish. And this is a video series which we try to educate audiences in economic matters with the help with two economists. And it's been very well received by the audiences. We really try to make it as pedagogical as we can, but also easy to consume and in a perspective that it's from gender journalism. And as you can see, we started with the format that was horizontal and a little bit more longer format, but we have adapted with the time now. And now we're in TikTok. That's how we launched our first progress in TikTok, and it's been very well received. And I don't know, Hime, if you can help me with the next one, please. And another thing that I would like to highlight is the comics that also it's not very usual in other newsrooms. The one that you can see in the left is one that Alejandro made. It was with LGBT, well, it was from a bigger series of many women who were caregiving, but this one was about an LGBT story specifically. And the one in the middle, it has to be, it is about feminisms. It started with stories from ourselves, but it expanded to our audiences. And this one was made by Bea. And last, the one that you can see animated in the right is the final form that we have from our comics that have become animated. And we're trying to get more into that. And that was made by Liz. And if you can make the next one, please. Yes. And in general, yes, we try to make our stories very complex with different approaches from multimedia, including, as I said, graphs and other types of formats that are not usual, especially with another colleagues in our region. But it really makes, it helps us to show the complexity of many projects that we get invested on. So for the next one, I think that we'll try to tell you more about photography, but for that, it's going to be, I think, Kelly's.
No, I think it's Monica. Yeah.
So
Sorry.
my name is Monica. As I said, I am the editorial production manager in Alharaca, and I'm going to talk to you about what we do in the newsroom team. So I'm going to present the research Ruling by the Bible, the Root of Vocalism. This work explores the political alliances between the government led by Nayib Bukele and the evangelical church, especially the Light of the World Church. After reviewing the social network of 56 deputies of the government party, Nuevas Ideas, interviewing leaders of social organizations and visiting churches and communities close to them, we concluded that this alliance benefits politicians with voters and churches with power quotas. Next slide, please. Thanks. So we verified that the 3 pro-government deputies are preachers despite a constitutional prohibition. We also demonstrate that foreign members of the Light of the World Church made political propaganda to promote their candidates, Caleb Navarro and Ruben Flores. One of them, after becoming a deputy, requested support from the President Bukele for a huge project called Light of the World City. This construction does not have environmental permit and is affecting nearby communities. Furthermore, the new deputies eliminated cash grants for feminist NGOs and handed it over to religious organizations. Next, please. Email. Thank you. So in other topics, we also focus our work on the most remote communities in El Salvador. Rural women spend more hours doing housework. That's why the lack of public services has a huge impact on their lives. We can see this in publications such as if the water does not reach Catarina Abajo, its women bring it from Lempa. The women of Catarina Abajo walk an hour and a half to wash their clothes in the Lempa River. The absence of water is just one of the problems they have to deal with. This work was made by your colleagues Vilma Laínez and Kelis Portillo. Another sample of this is the report The Waiting Rooms by Vilma Laínez. It shows the search struggles of mothers and fathers to find their missing daughters and sons in the last decade. It is a problem that persists even though the state denies it. So this is just a part of what we do in the newsroom team, and I'm going to give the word to Kelis, right?
Hola, la siguiente, por favor. Buenos días de nuevo, mi nombre es Kelis Portillo y soy fotoperiodista y parte del equipo editorial de Alharaca.
I'm going to translate immediately, sorry. Good morning, my name is Kelis Portillo and I'm a photojournalist and part of the Alharaca newsroom. Puedes hablar un poquito más si quieres.
Vaya, ok. En nuestra apuesta visual adoptamos un enfoque feminista y de género. Nuestra narrativa visual se construye a partir de historias de mujeres y personas de la diversidad. Retratamos cómo les afecta vivir en un sistema que sostiene las desigualdades, la pobreza y la violencia. Nos esforzamos por representar esas poblaciones de diversas edades, etnias y ámbitos de la vida, destacando logros, desafíos y contribuciones a la sociedad.
So as with all of our products, visually we have a feminist and gender focus. Our visual narrative is told through the stories and the perspectives of women and of LGBTQI people. And we seek to portray the impacts of living in an inherently unequal system that upholds poverty and violence. And we strive to represent these populations from different age, ethnic, and social groups by highlighting their accomplishments, challenges, and roles in their community.
Pero también mostramos realidades diferentes desde el enfoque de periodismo de soluciones, que pese al contexto desalentador, muestra cómo personas o comunidades enfrentan los problemas estructurales de nuestras sociedades.
We also attempt to make different realities visible constructively through the focus of solutions journalism, that in spite of a remarkably discouraging context, manages to show how people or communities face structural problems in Salvador and Central American society.
En estos últimos meses hemos trabajado en un fotoreportaje sobre una comunidad playera que ha restaurado una parte de su manglar, y el Ministerio de Medio Ambiente no ha creado los mecanismos para defender estos ecosistemas que se encuentran en peligro.
In the past few months, we have been working on a photo essay about a coastal community that managed to restore a part of the mangrove forest. The Ministry for the Environment has failed to create protection mechanisms to defend this endangered but important ecosystem.
Para nosotras es importante retratar las resistencias. En Alharaca también reconocemos la importancia del aporte visual en cualquier pieza periodística, y por eso es fundamental presentar de manera ética y responsable la realidad de nuestras fuentes.
It's vital for us to portray resistance. Alharaca recognizes the importance of aesthetic and visual impact in any journalistic piece, and we strive to do so while presenting the experiences and lives of our sources in an ethical and responsible way. Thank you. Thank you, Kate.
Well, maybe someone of the team want to add something. It's if you want to share a little more about the specific work that you make, you can do it right now.
I think I would just like to add that instead even though we talked a lot about what maybe makes us stand apart from other media in the region and in the country, we think it's very vital for us to collaborate with all the media landscape, and we strive to make a lot of joint projects and are in constant not only contact but also interchanging information, interchanging products, republishing and redistributing what our colleagues do. So I just wanted to add that.
And following that, Leah said, I want to add that we privilege the work with others, not only with other media, but with social civil organization as well. No, and we always try, and I say try, but we are always working in that and try to co-create with others and try to build our own methodologies to do that. No, and some of our projects are. We're doing with that, no, with this co-creation approach, and well, that is a part of our feminist approach, because it's still in the mainstream discourse in journalists in El Salvador. Persevere this idea about that when you are a feminist, you cannot be a journalist, because sometimes that mixes with that you are a activist, for example. And this kind of discussion, for us, it doesn't make sense. No, for us as a feminist, we have the obligation to work with others, to work with other actors of the society, and to go beyond these supposedly borders between journalists and other sphere of the society. That is part of our approach as well.
And I would also like to add something in terms of innovation. We've also aimed at working with different formats beyond the traditional formats for journalism, not only social media. As you can see, a lot of our formats are aimed at social media because most of our audiences are there. But also, for example, last year we did a locative audio documentary. So the project is anchored in the city center of San Salvador, and people can experience the audios by walking through the city. So we're also experimenting with other formats.
That's really fascinating, and thank you so much for the well-rounded presentation. I think we all learned a lot about really every piece of how, you know, the production, conceptualizing, you know, the editorial processes come together, and on what is a super fascinating subject area, and one that can really seem to sort of take many manifestations. So really amazing work. Not that you need to hear it from me, but can I just maybe start with one question, and then I'll hand it over to the audience. So I'd like just to learn a little bit more about your business model. So how are you paying for your journalism, and how are you making sure that the sources of funding don't impact the mission and editorial kind of independence and concept that is so foundational to your brand at Alharaca?
Yes, I think I have to talk about that. Well, as I say, we have like a hybrid model. The majority of our income comes from grants. No, philanthropic organization give us money since 2020, and that represents like the 70–80% of our operational budget. But at the same time, as always, we always wanted to be more independent, because grants right now that El Salvador has a lot of problems, there's a lot of grants coming to El Salvador, but that is not or will not a permanent situation. So we have to think in the future. So because of that, we are trying to develop this business business plan, selling a strategical communication service to international organizations. And we work with a media agency, which we create communication campaigns, design websites, we produce content for social media or in another format, etc. And right now that represents like the 30% of our budget, but we decided to use that like right now, not using actually, but saving this money, because right now we have enough grants to maintain ourselves. So this is like one of the backups that we are building. At the same time, we founded an organization, our ONG in Costa Rica, with another organization of women who are our partners or allies. And with this organization in Costa Rica, we are trying to prepare ourselves in the case we have to go to exile in the future. So with luck, we will be able to operate from Costa Rica the next year. And in this way, we can build another sustainability model from Costa Rica. That is the plan. But right now, grants and the communication agency in El Salvador.
Fascinating. I've seen a lot of like communication agencies develop to like create opportunities for new revenue streams, but the saving and commitment mechanism is a new one. It sounds a little bit like how Chile managed its sovereign wealth fund. It's so important to have something to lean into in the future. We'll also have this week, we're publishing a case study on hyper local media in Costa Rica. So I'll send that to you this week. All right. Who else has a question? If you just like to unmute, feel free. Otherwise, you can ask in the chat. Anyone have anything they want to bring up? Gianluca, do you want to break the ice? I'm calling. Go ahead. Yeah.
So first of all, congratulations, girls. I was looking at your website and it's so beautiful. And Kelly's tus fotos son hermosas. So congratulations again. And I was wondering if you got an audience also in other Spanish-speaking countries. So I was wondering about this topic, and I got no other question. I got, some kind of suggestion, or maybe Teona or Ryan already told to them. So I was wondering if you know the magazine called Lazy Women, because it's a European group of girls who founded this Lazy Women magazine. And, you know, maybe for some cross-border projects, they could be, you know, a match with you. And they did a wonderful sticker, a promotional sticker, you know, with a slogan, "Have you ever been called lazy?" Okay. And maybe you can do something similar with your name and some sticker. Have you ever been accused of being, okay, or to act like so? Anyway, my
Thank
question
you,
is,
Gianluca.
have you got some leaders from other country, other Spanish-speaking countries?
Thank you, Gianluca, for mentioning this, because I have actually told Lazy Women about Alharaca, and unfortunately they couldn't manage to attend this meeting today, but they will view the recording, and I would be very happy. We can touch base later about this, but I'll be very happy to keep you guys set up a meeting between you and put you in touch. Thanks, Gianluca.
Okay. So, Lazy Women, when you will see this recording, hi, ciao.
Thank you very much for the suggestion. I am looking at their site right now and it looks really nice. And the sticker thing is a really good idea. We've also thought about it, but we didn't think about it with the name, right? This pejorative name, and that's a really good idea. About the audiences in other countries, there are certain parts of our content that are obviously like very focused on El Salvador when we do coverage about Nayib Bukele and very specific local situations. But we also have collaborations with media from the region, not only Central America, but also other countries in Latin America. We exchange publications with, for example, LatFem, which is a regional Latin American medium. But also there's specific parts of Alharaca that appeal to more to an audience outside of El Salvador than within. We used to have a very strong project on sexual and reproductive health called Sexo Sin Vergüenzas that like talked about like a lot of different topics regarding sexual health. And that, for example, was very well read in Mexico and shared in Mexico. And there's for example, one article from that section that still gets like a lot of views every month consistently in other countries outside of El Salvador, which is very interesting. And we also did a project this year about Central American labor migration to Spain, and that has been very well received in Spain, obviously, because it talks about how Central American women that are migrants in Spain are basically pushing the entire movement for the rights of women in the care sector. So so I feel like we can also explore more topics that have like a more international appeal, and we've been doing it more organically. But yeah, it's a thing.
And I want to share that we already co-create a cross-border project with Germany. Actually, maybe we will have a new edition next year. We are waiting for the final approval. And we co-design and co-produce Cambia la Historia, Change the Story. It's a project with in coordination with the Deutsche Welle Academy in Mexico and Central America. And it was a program, a formation program, like with workshops and with training journalists from El Salvador, Honduras, and Dominican Republic in journalists with a gender perspective and with a constructive perspective. And it was very successful. And right now we are doing another edition in Bolivia, and maybe the next one more time in Central America. So this is one of the examples in this cross-border co-creative projects that we are doing.
Fascinating. And if you need a collaborator on climate change, you can reach out to Gianluca and their magazine Radar. They've been doing some cool cross-border journalism projects in Europe recently. We're here to make connections, as you can imagine. So Lilia, I think you had your hand raised.
No, it was to answer.
Sorry. Excuse me. Who else has a question? Stefano, I know you're not too far away in Brazil at Info Amazonia. Maybe do you have any questions for this team? Am I gonna have to pull teeth? We have one from the field. I was also interested about how you're reclaiming the term Alharaca and wondered if you can talk a bit more about how you work on engagement with your target audience, from Catherine in the chat. Who would like to take that up?
Well, I don't know if maybe Jimena, Leah, or Andy can contribute to that, but I want to say that one of the... sorry? Sorry, Leah. Do you want to say something, Leah, right now? No. Okay. Well, one of the ways that we reclaim this term of Alharaca is, for example, that we systematically make coverage about gender issues and diversity issues. That is a big why I'm saying that, because one of the things that some male colleagues say us is that we always make Alharaca when we talk about gender violence, because it's it's never so bad as the, for example, homicides against men. No, that is one of the arguments that some male journalists make against why it's so important to cover gender violence, for example. So we decided that Alharaca has no section or not a special section to talk about gender violence, but a systematical coverage about that. And of course, we make Alharaca. And of course, we make like a big scandal about gender violence in El Salvador, even when some people think that it's not so important. Another way to do to reclaim this term is, for example, when we have we gave our team the freedom to choose how to write. In Spanish, we can use a different way to be inclusive, to write inclusively, no, with the like los, las, or with the e, using the e in some words. And well, that is very problematic for the traditional journalists, but for us, it's a way, it's like a political position as well. And well, we use this kind of tools to try to build this own space to do journalism. Well, I
think maybe Denise is going to talk about the engagement part.
Yeah. Well, regarding engagement, that's something we really focus on because we are really trying to build a community with our audiences. So that's really important for us. And what we do for that is, well, first, we always try to answer the comments, to respond in appropriate manners. And also, we always take into account how our audience is going to take the content we are publishing. For example, if we know that our audiences respond better to videos and this kind of essay or photo essay that we're going to publish, it's better in that format. We are going to look for the way to deliver them the format that they prefer. So that's how we actually always take into account how they are going to respond better and how we can engage better with the community. And I don't know if Carla also has something to say about the engagement. I'm sorry, we always are on our feedback. We are monitoring how the audiences respond and how we can do better. Weekly, we have a feedback section of how the content went, what can we do better, and we also include a lot of, for example, Instagram stories so we can interact directly with the people. Also on our content is always prioritized like interaction. When we ask questions like, what will you do? What do you think about it? We are encouraging people to interact with us and form this like feeling of community.
Hi, I maybe just want to highlight a kind of format that we use and that it's explainers, that it works for audiences and it works like in the philosophy of Alharaca, because we're trying to translate big investigations or big academic terms sometimes into something more pedagogical, more close to our audiences. And that has made us a community where people find topics that are probably not being talked in other medias, and in a way that they can consume it quickly, right? In social media, and later, if they want, they can go to our website and see a full investigation. But we're not only focused on that because we really want to get for a lot of people. And we know that sometimes we don't have the time to see the whole investigations, and we just want to bring the highlights of those investigations to social media where people are always there. And I think it has worked very well for us, and it has evolved with time. It has different outlets like in video, or sometimes it's just text or infographics. But in general, that pedagogical approach has been very good for audiences, and I think it has really built a community for us.
Thanks so much for that answer. It's really fascinating to hear how different organizations build social media strategies, since it's such a difficult thing to either figure out how it impacts your bottom line, your reach, but making it work for you is the best thing you can at least try. We have another like 4 or 5 minutes. Are there any other questions from the audience? All right. I think in that case, we can close out the session, although it was a super fascinating one. I'm sure we could really talk for hours about the project. I'm particularly fascinated at your approach to visual representation, visual storytelling. Really, yeah, thank you so much, all of you, for being here today. It really brought a rich contribution to both the kind of state of media in El Salvador, but also how media around the world can learn from your project, your strategy from a content perspective, building a feminist publication, but also the basics of storytelling, using technology to reach more audiences, and beyond. So I really, thank you all for taking the time to be here, I guess this morning on your schedule. For others in Europe, it's the afternoon here, but we really appreciate the time you were able to spend with us. And we will publish the recording of today's session on our website in the next days, so you can circulate this wherever you would like, but we hope to stay in touch. And if you have questions, we can relay them back to the team. And thank you all for being here today, and have a great rest of your day.